ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्तिः शान्तिः. Namaste my dear friends. This is video number 7 on Panchadasi, a very important Advaita Vedantic book of Vidyarnaya, Bharti. The topic is the nature of God. Even with regard to the nature of God, disputants there are who differ with one another in their views. Exercising the powers of their intellects, they argue in different ways, and every one of them distorts the scriptural text in order to fit into the pro-Christian bed of his preformed theory. Elucidation in the light of picture analogy. Patanjali, the exponent of the yoga system, says that the Lord is a Purusha Vishesha who is unconnected with blemishes, acts, fruits, and their residual impressions. Like the Jiva, he is also intelligent and without any attachment. If, like the Purusha, God be unattached to anything, how can he be the prime mover of Prakriti? The follower of yoga has a ready answer to give. God is not an ordinary Purusha, he is a Purusha Vishesha, a superman. It is because of his supremacy that he directs the universe, controls the course of creation. Otherwise, there would be no order in the universe. The world would be a chaos, not a cosmos. Bondage and release would cease to have any meaning. The universe would be like a kingdom without a king, an army without a captain. Of the Lord, Scripture declares the directorship of the universe. For the fear of him, wind blows. For the fear of him, move the sun and the stars. Since God is without the blemishes which pertain to the Purusha, he can well be the controller of the universe. It is no doubt true that even the Purushas are by nature undefiled. But since they do not discriminate themselves from the products of Prakriti, it was said that blemishes, deeds, etc. pertain to them. The Nyayikas question the view that the Lord who is without attachment is the director of the universe. They regard the attributes of the Lord, cognition, effort, and desire to be eternal. Ishvara differs from the Jivas only in the nature of his attributes, not otherwise. His attributes are eternal while those of the Jivas are not. He has desires which come true, resolves which are real. If the Lord be characterized as possessing external qualities like cognition, etc., then the origination of the universe must be eternal. Therefore, the worshippers of Hiranyagarbha identify God with the object of their worship. Hiranyagarbha is conjoined with the subtle body. In the Udgita Brahmana, the greatness of Hiranyagarbha is very well described. Though conjoined with the subtle body, he is not identical with the jiva since he is free from desire, karma, etc. The subtle body is nowhere seen to be independent of the gross body. Hence, the worshippers of Virat describe God as the Virat. He has 1,000 heads, he has his eyes everywhere. If the possession of innumerable hands and legs be the criterion of Godhead, then seven such insignificant creatures like worms may be gods. So some people regard the four-faced Brahma as God. Worshipping him for the sake of progeny, they assert that there is no God other than him. They cite also the scriptural text Prajapati created all beings. The lotus born Brahma came from the navel cavity of Lord Vishnu. Hence, Vishnu alone is God. So say the Vaishnavas. Vishnu was unable to find out the feet of Lord Shiva. Shiva's greatness far excels that of Vishnu. Shiva alone is the Lord, not Vishnu, so the Sevas say. Before conquering, before conquering the three worlds, Shiva worshipped Ganpati. So the Ganpatiyas say that Ganpati is the Supreme Lord. Others hold quite different views. Each is wedded to his own theory and discards all other alternatives as unsound and irrational, and each bases his arguments on the authority of mantras, arthavadas, and kalpa works. The conceptions of God vary from the sublime to the ludicrous. There are people who regard God as the Antaryamin, and there are also those who worship stocks and stones. We see people in the world worshipping even trees and plants. Though these conceptions are varied, to him who bases his view on scripture, supported by reasoning, there can be only one conclusion about the nature of God. The true concept of God is at the same time in conflict with none of the theories above noticed. Know Maya to be Prakriti, primal cause, and God to be the Mayan arc juggler. By the jivas who are his limbs, the whole earth is pervaded. Thus, if the mode of determining the concept of God be in accordance with the declarations of scriptures, no conflict will be set up with the view of others which are but partial visions. 6. Maya. Maya, which is the material cause of the universe, is of the nature of nescience. The evidence for this statement is experience itself. The products of Prakriti are experienced to be inert and delusive by all people from the wise to the ignorant. Inertness, indeed, is that which constitutes the nature of pot, etc., and where the intellect is made blunt, that is called delusion. Subspecies temporis, all persons experience delusion and ignorance, though immediately and universally experienced Maya is indeterminable. Logic cannot determine the nature of Maya, which is neither real nor unreal. Maya is not unreal because it is manifest. It is not real because it is sublated. Thus, to logic, Maya is a riddle, but subspecies aeternatis it is unreal. From the point of view of knowledge, Maya is that which is not. To those who have realized the purport of scripture, it is not real at any time. For them, there is no Maya at all. To the logicians, it is like the Sphinx, indeterminable. It can be described neither as real nor as unreal. To the layman of the world, Maya appears to be real. Thus, Maya is of three forms: unreal, indeterminable, and real. As the painted canvas presents or hides the picture as it is spread out or folded, so too Maya presents the existence or the non existence of the world. Maya is not independent because it depends on intelligence for its appearance. It is independent at the same time because it presents the unattached self to be otherwise. It turns the immutable self into the mutable forms of the world. It produces the Jiva and Isvara as the reflections of intelligence. But these productions do not affect the Kutastha in the least. Kutastha in the least. Without in any way changing the nature of the self, Maya creates the world. Nor is this impossible for Maya is so named only because it is capable of accomplishing the impossible. As liquidity is to water, heat to fire, and hardness to stone, the attribute of accomplishing the impossible is natural to Maya. Maya appears to be strange and wonderful only as long as its inner workings are not known. It ceases to be a riddle when its inherent contradictions are realized. Maya itself is a great interrogation. Hence, it is fruitless to question about its nature. Maya, whose body is wonder, is a riddle to be solved by knowledge. Instead of questioning the nature of Maya, the wise seek knowledge whereby Maya can be removed. It is needless for the patient to know the details of his disease. His objective is to be free from the malady, and he must so direct his efforts whereby its end can be brought about. But if the patient be thoroughly ignorant of his disease, if he thinks that his disease is his state of ease, then there would be no activity on his part for its removal. He must first know that he is suffering. Only then could he strive to be free from pain. Maya must be known to be Maya. Men of the world regard it as a reality, and so for them there is no problem at all, and they do not consciously strive to get rid of it. It is only when Maya is cognized to be the cause of misery and metempsychosis that there is seen activity to achieve its removal. The general characteristics of Maya must be known, though its details defy all attempts at definition. That which is not possible to be defined or determined while being the object of clear perception is called Maya in empirical uses. For example, the Fata Morgana. People call a fact Maya when that fact defies their rational powers. This world appears not clearly to our consciousness, but its nature is beyond the possibility of determination. Hence, without any partiality, it must be regarded as Maya. Enquiry into the nature of the world is a thankless task. Even the learned men flounder and fail. They are at a loss to answer such questions as these. How from the vital fluid are the body, senses, etc. created? How do they become conscious? If it be said that it is natural for the vital fluid to create body, senses, etc., how is it known to be so? Co-presence and co-absence do not exist between vitality and body, etc. Important vitality does not procreate. Therefore, the Swabhavadinj theory is not valid. Swabhavadinj theory is not valid. There is no causal relation between vitality and body, etc. The only last resort is I know not what. Investigation regarding the causal relations and connections of the facts of the world leads us into and not out of ignorance. It may give us worldly knowledge, but it cannot lift us out of nescience. It is on account of the puzzling nature of the world that the wise compare it to the Fata Morgana. What greater magic is there than this world? The semen in the womb springs to consciousness. It is invested with various limbs. It passes through the stages of infancy, youth, old age, etc. It eats, drinks, speaks, smells, hears, and moves. Can there be a greater miracle than this? Like human organisms, even trees, etc., puzzles our wits. How small is the seed and how big the tree that comes out of it. Hence, the whole universe is Maya, indeterminable. As for the logicians and others who take a pleasure in recounting the various categories of the world, they are well criticized in the Khandana, etc., by philosophers like Harsa Misra. Those categories which cannot be thought of are not amenable to reason. The world indeed is beyond the scope of the mind. Indeterminability or unthinkableness is inherent in Maya. Maya in its causal state is experienced in sleep. The worlds of waking and dream are resolved therein like the seed which contains the entire tree. The causal state of Maya in sleep, though subtle, bears within it the entire universe. In that Maya, all the residual impressions of the world are preserved. Intelligence is reflected in the residual impressions of the intellect. It is not clearly experienced because its reflection, like cloud ether, is indistinct, but the existence of the reflection can be inferred. Maya, which is the cause and which has the reflection of intelligence, transforms itself in the form of the intellect. Hence, in the intellect, the reflection of intelligence distinctly appears. Maya creates within itself Jiva and Isvara as reflections. So declares scripture. The difference between the Jiva and Isvara is like that between the water ether and the cloud ether. The one is distinct while the other is indistinct. Maya is like the cloud. The residual impressions of the intellect are like the particles of water in the cloud, and the reflection of intelligence is like the reflection of ether in the water particles. The Chidabhasa, which is the controller of Maya, is mine, the Supreme Lord. He is the omniscient inner ruler, the source of the universe. Scripture declares that the Anandmaya is Iswara. He is the overlord, the scripture governor of the universe. That he is omniscient is the scriptural declaration, and the meaning of scripture cannot be refuted by argument further. For Maya, everything is possible. No man is powerful enough to change the world which the Lord creates. Not a sparrow falleth without his consent. He is the Lord of all, the supreme controller. The residual impressions of the intellects of all beings are gathered in nescience during sleep, though then through them the entire world is objectified. Hence the Anandmaya is called omniscient. His omniscience is not immediately experienced because the residual impressions are mediate in character. On the basis of the omniscience found in all the intellects, it must be inferred to exist in all the impressions also. Isvara is the inner ruler of the four seats and the gross elements, etc. He is called the Antaryamin. While remaining in the intellect, he impels the intellect no inner activity. He is unperceived by the intellect and he has the intellect for his body. So the Upanishad declares as so the Upanishad declares as the threads which are the material cause of the cloth exist in the cloth, this Isvara, who is the material cause of all, takes his abode in all beings. The threads are subtler than the cloth, the threads are subtler than the threads, and the Lord is the subtlest of all. He is not perceptible like the threads and the threads because he is the innermost core of all beings. His existence is to be known through reason and revelation. Just as the cloth is the body of the threads, since they exist in the shape of the former, the body of Isvara is the entirety of creation, since he exists in all the creatures. Just as the spreading out, shrinking, etc. of the cloth depend upon the spreading out, shrinking, etc. of the threads, the modifications of the world depend upon the modifications of the inner ruler. Sri Krishna says in the Gita, O Arjuna, causing all beings which are mounted as if on a machine to revolve by Maya, Isvara remains in the region of the hearts of all beings. All the beings are Vidyarnayas and they remain in the heart, for it is indeed there that Isvara, who is their material cause, attains transformation, body, etc., which constitute the prison of the soul in spoken of as the machine. And the soul's conceit in it is its being mounted therein, entry into activities prescribed and prohibited is referred to in the Gita by the word Brahmana, revolving. Isvara gets himself transformed by his power of Maya into the forms of the Jiva and its activities. This is how the cosmic revolution runs. This is how the Lord conducts the course of the universe. In the words of the sacred teaching, I know what is virtue, but there is no activity on my part in respect thereto. I know what is wise, but I cannot desist from it. I do as I am directed by the divine Antaryamin, who has his seat in my heart. But this does not mean determinism. Free will is not a fiction. It cannot be said that there is no use of the efforts of man. If man be a puppet in the hands of another force not his own, then ethics and the effort of man would have no meaning. If he be a victim to the drive of a tyrannical destiny, he cannot be held responsible for his actions. The opposite theory of chance and free will is equally untenable. It lands us in chaos and confusion. It is no doubt true that the Lord directs the deeds of man, but the self of man is no other than the Lord Himself. When it is realized that Ishvara manifests himself even in the form of man, it becomes quite intelligible how his direction is commensurate with the free will of man. Further, when it is understood that Ishvara is not the agent of actions but only the witnessing controller, it is clearly perceived that he is in reality unattached to anything. Scriptures and the traditional code declare that by the knowledge of the non-attached nature of the self, release is attained, and the declaration of the scriptures and the traditional code cannot be set aside, for the Lord has said that they are His commands. For the fear of Him, the sun, moon, and stars carry out His commands, the wind blows and the fire burns. He is not only the inner principle, He is all powerful and overlord. By the commands of this immutable Brahma, the course the courses of the sun and the moon are fixed. The self which has gained entrance into the hearts of all the jivas directs them. Seventh part, God and His creation. The Lord is the proprietor of the world, for He is the cause of its creation and destruction. The creation and destruction of the world are only its evolution, and evolution, manifestation, and dissolution. Just as the cloth which is rolled up in is unfolded, the Lord manifests the entire universe which lies latent in His being. This unfoldment or manifestation is due to the deeds of the creatures that constitute the world. Again, when the deeds and their products are exhausted, the Lord withdraws the world into Himself. This is called the deluge or cosmic destruction. Like day and night, waking and sleep, opening and closing of the eyes, daydreams and state of silence are the creation and dissolution of the world. What is creation? Is it origination de novo or is it transformation? Both the views are defective. The self which is without a second cannot originate something out of nothing, nor is the transformation of the self which is without parts intelligible. What is called creation is but illusory manifestation. When creation and destruction are defined as illusory manifestation and disappearance, the defects of the other theories are avoided. The same Lord is the cause of both the intelligent and the inert beings. Through the aspect of the reflection of intelligence, He is the cause of the former, and of the latter, He is the cause through the aspect of the inert Maya. It may be said that it is incorrect to say that the cause of the world is Ishvara, the wielder of Maya, for Sureswara, the author of the Vartika, has attributed the causality of the world to the Supreme Self. The Self which has the tamas predominant Maya as the adjunct is the cause of the body, etc. And when it has intelligence as its predominant aspect, it produces the reflections of intelligence. The creation of both the intelligent and the inert is effected through the instrumentality of impressions, knowledge, and karma. Thus, the Vartikakara has said that the Supreme Self is the ground of all beings, not the Lord. This is not so. The intention of Sureswara is not to attribute causality to the Supreme Self, but only to prove that through the establishment of the reciprocal supreme position of Ishvara and Brahma, the latter is erroneously regarded as the cause of the world. There is also the scriptural passage that Brahma, which is really reality, knowledge, and infinity, from that ether, air, fire, water, earth, plants, food, body, etc., sprang forth. We discern superficially in the text causality being attributed to Brahma and reality being asserted of the cause. Therefore, it is patent that reciprocal superimposition between Brahma and Ishvara is therein declared, just as the cloth stiffened with starch is taken to be the cloth qualified by starchiness as an attribute, so also the oneness of Brahma and Ishvara is due to reciprocal superimposition. The ignorant do not find any difference between the ether at large and the cloud ether. Even so, those whose understanding is superficially perceive Brahma and Ishvara to be identical. When through the marks of discerning the purport, with initial and concluding passages, etc., we inquire into the truth, we realize that Brahma is unattached and that Ishvara, the mind, is the progenitor, progenitor of the world. The determination of the unattachedness of Brahma begins with the passage reality, knowledge, and infinity, and concludes with the text whence speech returns. The mind creates the universe. There the jiva is well bound by Maya, thus declares another passage. Hence it is clear that it is Ishvara that creates. Ishvara, who is the Anandmaya, thought, let me become many, and he became Hiranyagarbha. It is just like sleep being transformed into dream. The nature of creation cannot be definitely described. Some of the Smriti passages describe creation as proceeding by stages. Others assert a simultaneous creation of all things. Both the views are valid, as the dreams come either in an orderly or a disorderly way, so the creation of the world proceeds either in a serial order or all of a sudden. Hiranyagarbha, the thread self, is called the subtle vesture. He is of the form of all jivas, for he has conceit in all of them. He possesses the powers of action, knowledge, etc. Just as early in the morning or late in the evening the world appears to be immersed in twilight, so in the state of Hiranyagarbha the universe is presented in an indistinct manner. Just as the cloth stiffened with starch is stressed fully with lines, the form of the Lord is invested with the subtle bodies, the the non-quintuplicated elements, like the grains which shoot their sprouts. The Lord, who is the seed of the universe, attains in the state of Hiranyagarbha, the tender stage of the sprout. He is the seed of the worlds, he is the sprout of the spheres. Virat is the full-blown stage of the universe, comparable to the world in the noonday glare, the canvas filled in with paint, or the grains which have borne their fruit. In the Vishwarupadhyaya of the Yajurveda and in the Purusha Sukta, Virat is described to be of the cosmic form comprising all the beings from the highest Brahma down to a blade of grass. He is the mighty Lord whose crown is the heaven and footstool the earth. whose dwelling is the light of setting suns and the round ocean and the living air and the blue sky, and in the mind of man emotion and spirit that impels all thinking things, all objects of all thought, and rolls through all things. All the things are his visible forms. Each being is a fragment of his cosmic vesture. The Antaryamin, the Sutratman, Virat, Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra, Indra, Agni, Vigneswara, Bhairava, Mairala, Marika, divinities and demons, the twice born, the warrior, the merchant and the Sudra, cow, horses and birds, trees like the Aswatha and the banyan, grains of all kinds, water, stone and sticks. All these are but chips of the same wood. Different people worship the one or the other of these and reap their due reward. As the Lord is worshipped, so does he yield the fruit. As is the inner craving, so is the resultant reward. The excellence or otherwise of the reward depends upon the faith or the lack of it in the devotees, as also upon the quality of the object of worship. I end this video here. Next video number 8 will start with chapter 8, knowledge, the means to release. So thank you my dear friends for watching this video. Please like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel. Namaskar.